Welcome to your Japanese stab binding kit. I'll just go through what you should see when you open the box. So we have pencil, ruler, metal ruler. We've got some waxed thread, different colours, nice and bright. A clip is really important. We've got some little snippers, a 3mm hole punch. We've got an awl, it's very sharp, not for children. We've got a needle threader, needles, 4 needles, a scorer, a little bag of paper, and we have different kinds of paper, but they're all tree free, so they're all cotton rag. We have bright whites. We've got 4 pieces of bright whites. We've got 4 pieces of black. We've got 4 pieces of thicker cotton rag paper as well. And it's a bit rougher than this one because it just gives you a different experience. We've got some craft card, and that can be as a backing for your work. Okay. We also have some little pieces of craft card, and these are going to be templates. So we're going to learn, I've put 4 in. I always like to put a spare just in case something goes wrong. We're going to learn 3 Japanese stab binding techniques. So once you've done these, you'll have a template and you can go on to do some others if you choose. And we also have 2 pieces of black cards, because when you're using the clip, you want to put the card between the paper, because otherwise if it's just the clip on its own, it might damage the surface of your paper. Even the cardboard that you get or put in as a divider could be useful when you're using your awl, and we'll go through that in a second. We're going to measure out or put some markings on our little pieces of card which we're going to use as templates. So we need a pencil and we need a ruler. Make sure your pencil's sharp. It's important to remember that this can, your hole punch can only go in so far to the edge, and that is just under 20mm. So what we're going to do, we're going to mark 20mm, but our hole is actually going to be just below that line. So we're going to say 20mm. In fact, if we say this is going to be the edge of our book, maybe it's worth, can you see, maybe it's worth noting that on the paper, because sometimes, you know, these things look quite alike. The first one is going to be we're going to call it 4-hole binding, and this one is sort of the basis for all the other ones as well. So I'll explain in a second. I'll explain when we've done this, and you'll understand as we go along. So we're going to measure 20mm in. Now I always start at 1 because there might be some sort of discrepancy on a ruler or a tape measure. So we're going to say 20mm in, which makes that one. So line there, or mark there. And then we're going to draw our line there, which isn't actually far off the width of your ruler, which might be quite a handy thing to do for the next ones. So there we go. There's our edge, and that's where our holes are going to sit. So when it's finished, it's going to go there. Right, we're going to go 20mm in from this edge So again, I'm going to start on 1, so 10, 20, and here I'll start on 11, and remember it's 20, so 10, 20. So what we want to do is we want to divide this space into 3 equal parts, so have 2 marks that gives us the 4 in total. So divided by 3, that's 19. So we're going to go 10, and then we're going to go 9. We're going to go 10, 10, 9. Now I'm really hoping that that one is 9. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to get our hole punch. Okay, and you put the card through that bit there so it can go, the hole can be punched there. So you should be able to see that. And we go into by eye just carefully. You can feel actually that it's as far as it can go anyway. Just underneath that line. Click. Okay. Be as accurate as you can. There we go. So we have 4 holes. That's going to be our first one. These holes are generally called stations. So we're starting with 4 stations. This is our first template. We're going to work on our second template before we carry on. So if we remember, this is this edge of our paper. So we're going to do another one. We're going to write it on here as well. We're going to say edge. This is the edge. This one is called Noble technique. It's a little bit different, but it does start with the same 4 holes. So what you can do, you can very carefully sort of line it up with the first one, and very carefully go through the hole that you've already done and through to the second one. Okay, and again, so not taking any of that first one away. You can always measure it out again if you want. This is a slightly quicker way if you feel confident. If you're not so confident, maybe measuring would be better. Okay, so there we have our second one, and that's called Noble. We'll put this one away. We've got the 4 stations already there. We're looking for another hole between there and there. So we're going to draw a diagonal line between the middle of that hole and the corner of your template. Okay, and again, let's measure that. So I'm starting at 1, and it's 10, 20, so 26. So half of 26 is 13. We're going to put a little mark there. Again, there. Half of 26, so we're looking at 10, and then 3 there. 13. And using your clip up, this time we want to go through the very middle. Try and get it right over the top of that mark. It doesn't matter if you're a little bit out, but as close to that as possible. Okay, and again, and there we have our next template, and that's called Noble. So now we have 2. We're going to start now. The next one is called Hemp, and it is a progression on from the noble, so we can do exactly what we did. Can you see what I'm doing? Exactly what we did with the first one. Are we going to use this as a template and work from that? So we're making sure that it's that way around. And we're going to go, actually this here would be quite a good time to use the clip, and because this is not on our delicate paper, it doesn't matter if we don't use those little bits of black card. It's just going to hold it together for us. Okay. So we don't have to worry about that thing, about it slipping. So again, we're going to go through that first hole. Oh, you can't see. There we go. And again. If you feel as though you're not confident doing this, again, measure it out. Okay, there we go. So we can put our noble over here, and we have our hemp. So remembering that this is our edge, we're going to draw a line between these two circles. And now what we're looking for is making a mark in between those, but on there, in between those and there. So you can do it by eye, or you can measure, or if you've got a maths like mine, or a square or anything like that, you could possibly use that. Okay, to be honest, by eye, it's, but if you don't feel confident, you can measure. Do what feels best for you. So again, we're going to remember on top of that line this time. On top of the line, but over the mark. Where is it? Okay. And hopefully, not hopefully, it will be lovely. It will be fantastic. And you will have your third template. Now, obviously, if you go wrong with any of them, you can use your spare. Right, we have hemp, noble, and 4-hole. We're going to start with the 4-hole. Out of the paper bundle, you can use combinations of any of the papers there. I'm just going to start with the 4 bright whites, and it's got beautiful deckled edges, which I quite like, and it feels really sort of like cloth, which isn't a surprise really, because it's 100% cotton. This piece of craft card is going to be my back. Now, you don't have to have any back on yours if you don't want, or you could add other pieces of paper into it, but if you're using the brown, if you're using the craft cards, your craft card might want to bend in a certain way, and mine seems to want to sort of bend in that way. It's hard to, I think I'm too close, but you don't want, when you've done your back, you don't want it to sort of curl up. You want it to curl in, because that way it'll stay straight and you'll have a nice flat book. Now you can see as well that the brown craft card doesn't quite fit, and I've done that on purpose. Now if you want it to fit, you can always cut it down a bit, but I think if it's smaller than the paper, then you're not going to see it from the front, and that's kind of what I'm looking for really. For me, you might want to do something else. Anyway, so we've got 2 pieces of black card. We're going to, this will be the left hand edge and this will be the right hand edge. So we want the right hand edge to stay still while we're doing our template, or while we're making the marks for our edging, right? So they're not going to move now, which is great. What you need to, Japanese stab binding is great because, one, you can use any kind of paper. I mean, it doesn't have to be plain paper. It could be paper that you've already painted on or drawn on or written on, or it could be pieces out of magazines or any kind of paper, and you're just binding them all together. So it doesn't have to be a blank book. You could add photos or anything like that into it. So that's a really good thing about Japanese stab binding. The not so good thing is that you're going to always lose a bit of paper on this side, but you're going to gain that really beautiful sewn technique along the edge, which kind of makes it beautiful. So we're going to use the first one, use our 4-hole binding with the 4 stations in it, and we're gonna do that. And that's where we're going to cut or punch through the cover, okay? And we're going to go through over the top of that mark that you've made. Sorry if you couldn't see what I was doing there. And again, over the top of that mark you've made. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to use the awl, and we're going to go through that, those holes there. Now, you can use the card. This is the card out of the box. So you can put your card down. You can put your paper over the top of your card. And when you're in the middle of those hole punch holes that you've made, just push down. And you'll hear when you get through. You don't want to do this over an antique table or anything. So make sure you're not going to damage anything that's underneath. And there we are. There we have our holes. Now what you could do, because when we come to do the decoration, at times there's going to be 3 threads going through those holes, so you're going to want to go through each one with your paper punch. It's hard for me to show you and do it at the same time, so I do apologise if it moves a little. There we go. I'm hoping you can see, or at least get the idea, so I'm not worried too much about you not seeing. Anyway, I'm just rambling and I should be just hole punching. See how my voice has changed and concentrate. So there we go. Jack. I do apologise. I think my dog is a bit grumbly at the moment. A grumbly pooch in the background. And I'm just going to carry on. And there we are. There's our holes, all 4 stations, and the back. And we're going to start sewing. So let's get the needles and the thread. Let's put that there. I might just put that on that. I did take it off actually. They did slip a little bit, but luckily, well, not luckily, but because we made that hole, the hole with it all, it wasn't a problem. So put that there. Let's have a look at the thread. There's 4 different colours, and I think because I've left them white, those colours are going to look really nice on the white. And we have some black, so decide which colour would look great on the black. Okay, so we're going to use 5 widths. So we're looking at, I always do a little bit over as well. So we measure 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and that's just a little bit for good luck really. Then we're gonna get our needles. You decide which needle suits you best. It's just about preference. There is a needle threader, but generally I'm okay with threading needles, but I've just put that in there just in case. Right, so this is important when you're threading your needle. If you have your thread double width like that, it's going to be bulkier going through those holes, especially if there's like thread already through. So a really neat trick for getting your thread in the eye the same thickness as your needle is, or thread, is where you've threaded, go in a little bit, I don't know, 20 millimeters, and what you're looking to do, let's get a bit closer for this, hopefully you can see. What you're hoping to do is going with the point of the needle, going straight through the middle of your thread. And it's something that I haven't mentioned actually, it's waxed thread, because it, slips through the paper easier. So with that little bit of thread skewered on the needle, pull what's left through, so you only have a little bit left there, and then when you're close to the eye, just pull this down, and it just slips over and gives you less bulk. So when you're going through the holes in your book, it'll all be good. You shouldn't have any problem because it's 3mm anyway. Right, there's certain rules that you need to follow, and you won't go wrong if you follow these rules. One is you always start from a middle hole and in between the books. So I'm going to, you can go in that one or that one. I'll go in that one. And we're going to pull the thread through, but we're not going to pull it all the way through. We're going to leave some, because when we come to finish, that bit of thread is going to be used for tying off your binding. Okay, so that's in the middle now, and that now we can start. The other rule is that as you go round, as you do your binding, you shouldn't go over the same thread twice. You can go through the same hole a few times, but not over the same thread. So if we go through there and pull, you don't want to pull too tight when you get to the end. You want to just sort of make sure it's secure, but it doesn't have to be too tight. And I'm going to go this way first, so then I'm going to go through there. Another rule is it has to look the same at the back as it does at the front. And okay, it's not going to look the same yet, but when it's finished, it needs to look the same from the back as it does at the front. So I'm going to come over the top again and pull that through. Now I'm gonna wind it round this, sorry if I missed that, okay, I'll do that again. Wind it round this way and push it through that hole. So we've got that corner done. Okay. So far we've got no threads doubling up. And once we put this through, it's going to look the same from this side. So both sides are the same. Right, and we're going to do exactly the same on the other side as we've done. So we go into step forward with our stitch, and then we're going to go over the top. Oops. Try not to go through or sort of split the thread as you go through. Okay. I'm going to take a step forward. And pull it through. Okay. And I'm going to go around and take it through there. Just pull it a little and just make sure that it all looks okay. I'm going to go, so there we are, and turn it round. I'm going to go through that. Oh, I can feel I might go through some threads, so I'm just going to adjust. There we go. The reason you don't want to go through thread is that if you need to tighten up a little bit, then it's easier, or it's possible, I should say, not easier. Okay, so you can see that all you need to do now is make a thread line. Maybe look at it like that, a thread line there, turn it round, and a thread line there, and then that's finished. But you don't want to go all through that hole. So we're going to take this off. We're going to find where our tail bit of our thread is. Where is it? There it is. And through the same hole, we're going to go, no, sorry, we're going to go through that hole. Okay, but we need to go down there. We need to get that thread through there, so we're going to snip it off. It's really difficult sort of looking. It's a little bit fiddly. Here we go. And then just very gently pull it through. Okay. And now it's gone through. So lovely. Lovely, lovely. And we're going to do a reef knot, because it's supposed to be the strongest knot or the most secure knot, and this being wax thread, it's always a little bit it might want to come out open again. So we're going to go left over right. You might, I'm not very good at explaining knots. Left over right and under, and then right over left and under. Okay, get your snippers again. Snip, snip. I like to leave a little, I don't like to go too close to the knot, just in case it does work itself loose, but you can sort of push it up a little bit. But you know, if it comes down, it's okay. It's quite nice, I think. It shows that it shows it's sort of how it's made in a way. Next thing we're going to do, last thing we're going to do before our book is complete, is come away from that line a little bit with your ruler and get your scorer. So that edge is quite narrow. Sorry, I could sometimes forget what words to use, but we're going to use the scorer down that line. And we're not going to press too hard, we're just scoring a line. There we go. And then this is your book finished, and that line that you've scored, you can fold back, and there we go. There's your beautiful little Japanese stab binding booklet. Now for the next one. Okay, for the next ones, I'm going to have all the holes ready, and I'll just take you through the sewing part of it.